Hey, this is Gabie Boko, Chief Marketing Officer for NetApp, and this is the Sports Business Conversations podcast from ADC Partners.
Hey, this is Dave Almy of ADC Partners, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Business Conversations podcast. I mean, look, I know there's a lot of podcasts out there vying for your attention, so really appreciate you stopping by here. So let's get started. Now, here are some things you might not ordinarily think of when the topic of sports business comes up. Information warehousing, analytics, data centers, cybersecurity. I know, typically speaking, these are not the topics that most fans concern themselves with when heading to a game. They just want their tickets to scan quickly, their payments to work seamlessly at concession stands, and that their smack-talking posts load quickly. And this is where Gabie Boko, the CMO of NetApp, starts nodding enthusiastically. No one knows more than Gabie about how interwoven sports and technology are. That's why she's been leveraging sports to help NetApp tell its story. Their partnership portfolio already includes the 49ers, Sharks, and Aston Martin F1, and it just got a whole lot bigger. NetApp just launched a new collaboration with the NFL and is now serving as their official intelligent data infrastructure partner. In our conversation, we talk about the role of sports in marketing complex enterprise technology. We also dive into how she leverages her partnerships in storytelling, how she built upon an existing business relationship with the NFL to create a new partnership, and how she views measuring the effectiveness of her partnerships. The Alaska native also shares the story of her most frightening bear encounter, which almost assuredly will have you canceling your northern exposure trip. So thanks for checking out my conversation with Gabie Boko, Chief Marketing Officer of NetApp. Hope you enjoy. Gabie, I read that you originally set on a path towards becoming a lawyer. Now, I think it's fair to say that law and marketing occupy slightly different spaces in this continuum that we are in. So let's get started. Can you talk about that trajectory and what initiated the pivot?
Yeah, I'll start with what initiated the pivot. Honestly, I supported myself through college and a little bit after by being legal secretary and a paralegal. And the dream was to be Perry Mason. So, after
put away the
that,
bad guys.
Right. Then you go into okay, I'm going to law school. And then I called my mom and I was like, I hate all of this. I hate all of this.
Do you know how many times I've heard that story?
Right. And then I think I started crying and I went home. I actually went home. And I, by the way, I was born and raised in Alaska. So going home was a hard thing.
Yeah, it's no small thing.
So I went home and I woke up the next morning and she handed me the newspaper, which, I'm that old, but that old in Alaska was go find yourself a job.
Yeah.
So, when you
start circling things.
Yeah. When you're presented with that, you're like, okay, what am I interested in? But she was always there just saying, what are you interested in? What did you like? What do you not like? What did you like about law that drew you to it that now you hate? And what I discovered is that I really enjoyed the casework part. I enjoyed being in the library. I enjoyed doing the research. I enjoyed the stories that were behind them. And what that led me to was maybe I'm some sort of storyteller and I need to be in a line of business that allows me to tell stories. Outside of that, then it wasn't just marketing. I didn't have a degree in marketing. I didn't want to go there. I did have a degree in history and communications, so I knew how to speak. I knew how to research.
Turns out those are important.
Shockingly. So, and tech was hot. So yeah. I answered an ad in the newspaper, actually not the Alaska newspaper, but in the Phoenix newspaper, for somebody who was going to go work at Insight, who is actually shockingly one of our technology partners now.
Full circle.
They wanted to hire a marketing manager, and I went on the interview, and I was like, "Yeah,
I love this marketing thing."
Turns out I met the guy who was interviewing me later at the bar because I was bartending at the time or supporting at the time. And he's like, I know you think you don't know how to do this, but I think you do. And so...
so he was supportive right out of the gate like that. He ran into you at the bar that night.
Yeah, after an interview that I'm pretty sure went pretty badly.
Why do you
But
think
what
it
he
went
liked,
badly?
he said, what he liked was my ability to communicate, my ability to talk, my ability, shockingly, to potentially tell a story, and
Right.
that's all she wrote.
Did the law degree and doing the research, do you feel like that and that insight into storytelling, is that how that initial part of where you thought you were going prepared you for marketing, or
Probably.
were there other pieces as well?
I think I've always been excited and interested in the idea of marketing.
Mm.
You know, once I got the job, I was in it, right? Like some
Yeah.
night school classes, some, master's degree
Oh,
classes. Like
you
I was
did
like,
not go gently.
oh no, I was like, all right, I'm doing this.
I'm
But
in.
also I really wanted to learn technology. Like one of the aspects of my first job was go hang out in a distribution center and learn how laptops are put together. I mean, who does that?
So cool.
And then come back and describe every single part in really exciting terminology. There is no exciting terminology for a keyboard, right? It's gray.
Well, it's exciting if you like gray.
Right. So I think what excited me truly about it was I felt like I was at the forefront of something that was big.
Yeah.
Technology was in an explosive moment. It wasn't just about laptops, clearly it was about software, it was about how technology was changing the world. That was exciting. And the fact that I could go from having experience to turning that experience into something meaningful, that was it. That
That
was what I wanted from a career. I wanted to feel like I was doing something interesting and that I wasn't just what I was on paper.
drawing people to those technology products, because you've had a lot of stops along the way. I mean, HP,
Yep.
SAP,
Yep.
Cognos,
Sage.
Sage, NetApp. I mean, these are big, consequential Silicon Valley behemoths in a lot of the
Yes.
ways. So,
I'm
I
very
mean,
grateful.
I'm very grateful. I mean, also, but like, I think when people think of technology, they have the startup mind, and you've certainly had that experience though. But that's a different animal working for those enterprise level companies.
Yeah.
So, what was compelling about those? Were those just opportunities that presented themselves, or did you seek some of these out because of what they were doing and how they were doing it?
I'd say the first part of my career was very much a just kind of wildly landing and then making a success out of it.
Yeah,
Cognos was about,
parachute comes out. Here I am. Let's do this
it's
thing.
like, wow, this looks cool. I have no idea what this is. No, I knew what every single one of them were. I really enjoyed the first part of my career was enterprise software.
Yeah.
I'm all in on that. I feel that that's a defining moment that teaches you how to do, narrative building on solutions that customers are trying to solve versus about the technology. That's to me really key part of being a marketer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're
Benefits
in
over
B2B.
features.
Right, if you're in B2B, then you sometimes get lost in the features. And I thought software was really compelling because it was solving problems, right? I need to save money. I need to save resources. I need to streamline costs. I need to get a car out faster. I need to produce food that's safer. I need to, save lives, right? By sharing patient data. So all of that was really, I think, really valuable to me. But I think the problem solving that comes along with being in tech and the what was part of my background and how I got there was part of how I was able to make marketing a successful venture for me
Mhm.
inside technology. So I was always looking at I was always looking at how to make something better because I knew that the customers wanted us to make it better.
Now, you're currently the CMO of NetApp, which
Yes.
may currently, after this podcast, everything's going to be completely clear, obviously, but it may be unfamiliar to some of the folks who are listening. So, can you provide just that 35,000-foot view of the company, what it does, and how people may interact with its products and services in ways that they may not even know?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for asking me that question. I think most people, if you're in my industry, would see NetApp as a data storage company. We provide big boxes that fill vast cavernous spaces of data centers that store your data. We like to call ourselves an intelligent data infrastructure company because for us, in terms of what we provide with the box itself, is a set of data infrastructure capabilities. That means we're not just here to think about where you put your data, but we're really, really interested in how your data needs to move.
Mm.
We're in all three big public clouds, right? AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. That means if you're in one of those clouds or all of those clouds, hybrid multi cloud, we call it, then where your data lives there and how it connects back to maybe one of those great data centers is really important to us. How you data manage your data, how you're storing it, how you're governing it, how you're securing it. Security
Yeah.
is huge, right?
I can't imagine.
So when we call it intelligent data infrastructure, we're saying that we want your data infrastructure to be focused on where you need it at whenever you need it. And we want it to be safe and secure, which means that we want it to be intelligent from the start. That means we focus on how to build that in to the box, build it into the software that supports the box, and build it into whatever applications or workloads that you might need. So let's go make this really real. We just did our user conference, and I'll throw a couple of stories out there.
Good.
There is a company called ESA in Europe. They are the European Space Agency.
Yeah, they are the European NASA.
Correct. And essentially, all of the things that when you land on a comet, when you take pictures of the stars, whatever you're doing, all of that data lives on NetApp. And in 20 years of living on NetApp, this is why it's so important to have an intelligent data infrastructure. They've never lost a single file.
Yeah.
So go from
It turns out space travel, you do not want to be losing files, I would think.
I mean, they actually call it's so great. They call their data storage area the digital library of the universe. It's awesome. But let's go take it to what you and I are talking about, which is sports. Let's go talk a little NFL or 49ers, right? Let's go talk 49ers. I'm repping 49ers today.
She is. For those who are audio only, which is most of people here, there's definitely 49ers gear being sported for this entire show.
49ers have Levi's Stadium. And when you think about having a fan experience in a stadium, you're saying, I don't want long lines. I want to make sure that when I walk through those doors, my family is going to have a really safe time and a fun time. I want to be able to order whatever I want to eat and make sure it's not going to get lost. I want to be sure that my ticket actually scans and that I can find my seat and there isn't somebody sitting in it. That's a fan experience. And they do that because they use data infrastructure that is intelligent from NetApp. So two examples for you. Those are two.
There are many more, but this is, the 49ers are not your only partnership.
No.
Sharks, Ducati, Aston Martin F1, and most recently the NFL, sort of a little tiny partnership you've got playing over there in the corner that barely anybody will pay any attention to, I'm sure. So, we've talked a lot about intelligent data storage, things like security, which, there are inherently technology challenges and problems and solutions that you're putting together. Can you talk about, clearly sports is playing a pretty significant role in your marketing plans.
Yeah.
So can you talk about how that evolved? Why you and NetApp aligned with rights holders in that space? What was the solution that they were going to give to you?
I am very lucky that my predecessors who had my seat also saw the opportunity through sports. So I came into Aston Martin, Ducati, and a few others, but I came into a company who already believed that sports was important. I also came into a company that believed that I needed to build brand pretty aggressively. So I spent the first 18 months of being in this seat going around to all of our sponsors. And by the way, we have sponsors across not just sports, but media and entertainment and a variety of others, most notably DreamWorks. But when you look at all of those together, the biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish in the first 18 months was, are you using our product and what are you using it for? Because no matter what I was going to do, I needed to understand how it was influencing and where I could get value back for the brand. One of the hardest things to do, I think, is to tell a really good story, one that's very meaningful. So we took a long time to figure out what those were. And I'm super proud to say that every single one of our sponsors is on the path to or already at 100% of all their data storage on NetApp. Now think about this. When you think about Aston Martin or when you think about the Sharks, right? When you go into the Shark Stadium, every single thing that you see and you're getting video back on is NetApp based. So when you're watching hockey, you're getting that experience because the data infrastructure is running on NetApp. When you're looking at the Aston Martin car going around the track, that car in essence is a data beast all in of itself, right? And if you come off the car and into the back part of the garage, there you'll see all of the data on the storage right there because they have to deal with it that quickly.
does that ability to provide immediate context for your solutions? Because like sports is a common language, right? It is something that you don't need to speak the language necessarily. You barely need to understand the rules, but everybody kind of gets it. So many people are paying attention to it. Is it that ability to provide a platform for solutions that's so transferable to what other people are doing and in fairly complex ways? I mean, shooting a race car down a racetrack is no small thing. So being the backbone in many ways for that, I'm thinking as we talk about storytelling, plays a pretty central role in that, I would think.
100% it does. Remember what I said up at the beginning. This is not just about where you put your data, but it's how your data is moving. When you think about what's happening inside Levi's Stadium or what's happening any game day for the NFL or any game day for the Sharks or anything that's happening for the Aston Martin car in and of itself, it's not about what happens 30, 60, 90 days after. It's what's happening in the moment. What am I capturing? What am I seeing? How can I interpret that? And how can I take it back? And all of that, ultimately, I want all of our teams and leagues to be winners, right? That's the goal. We want them to win because what's impactful then is then coming back to other customers like ESA or some others and saying, hey, listen, this is how we're moving data so quickly and being able to react to it. You can do this too. And it looks like this, this, and this. So it becomes a really easy way to hopefully secure a story that we would not have been able to tell otherwise.
Well, and it's also not like fandom has gotten really good at being patient, right?
Oh,
I mean,
no, it's
no,
faster.
I mean, no, it's faster and there's immediacy and they want it the way they want it. Nobody's going to go to the concessions line and be happy with, oh no, take another 60 seconds to process my credit card. I don't mind missing the next at bat. No big deal. Like that. I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but
Right.
not very facetious. So
Right.
that kind of immediacy plays right into the kind of stories that you want to tell.
It's that relentless pursuit of better. And we want to be at that cutting edge of how to help not just fans, but help these customers of ours, because they are customers. They're not just sponsorships. They are partners and customers that we work on these problems together so that they can make themselves better.
Yeah.
Winning an F1 race, winning the Super Bowl, note to self, 49ers. Winning
I know you're
any
listening,
hockey game,
49ers.
right? Winning
Yeah.
any MotoGP, it's all we want to help them do that, because in the end, when we're celebrating as a team and as a family and as partners.
The partnership with the NFL is relatively new.
Yeah.
Love to hear a little bit from you about how that became a target for NetApp, because honestly, in the United States, right, that is the monster as far as sports properties goes. So how did that become a target, and what were those conversations like? How did they unfold with the NFL?
Yeah. You know, NFL was a customer before they were a partner.
Okay, so existing relationships there.
It was an existing relationship. And it's one, by the way, that we went through and we partnered slightly at one point about, 10 years ago. And then we came back around. When I took the chair of CMO, I actually said, why, for the sponsorships that we've lost, why did we lose them? And can we go back in and I want to understand. I want to know why. And I had a conversation with their deputy CIO, and I was like, just tell me what went wrong. And he told me a few of it. And then he asked me a really pointed question. He's like, why now? Why? He's like, we're still using you. That's no big deal. But why do you want to come back in? And why are we talking about making this bigger? And I was like, because of everything you just said. I think we can do this better. I think we just looked at each other as customer relationships, but I think we can help you do what you want to do better. And I think we have the power to do that now and the understanding to do that now. And then it just turned a dime. Like everybody switched on. My company, NetApp, switched on. The NFL switched on. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, we're all master negotiators, but in the end, we wanted to make it what was going to work for both of us. And I think we're really at a nice space that allows us to do that.
You also come at that relationship, like you said, as an existing partner with a service that I'm assuming the NFL needs desperately as sports properties and leagues and other rights holders transform almost less from a game day event, but to like a content creation animal that's constantly moving and evaluating what fans
Yeah.
want and delivering them. I mean, we're not just talking small amounts of data here. I mean, we're talking vast
It's
amounts of data.
It's absolutely staggering, right? When I look at all the teams we do sponsor, the Sharks, Ducati, the 49ers, and Aston Martin, there is an astounding
Yeah.
amount of data and an astounding amount of complexity that we have to manage. But you take that and you magnify that for the NFL, 32 clubs, league opportunities, media, how much content they have to capture, how much of this is in the cloud, how much of it is in, back end storage, how much of it needs to be secured, how much of it needs to be available. I mean, they actually say when we go into a stadium on a game day, that stadium becomes a data center for us, and we have to figure that out. So I think we already knew complexity from teams going into the NFL, and going in this time with them was really critical that we understood the magnitude of what they had, but in addition to the magnitude, where they wanted to go. And that was what we wanted to make really special. Part of us was expanding internationally. That just takes magnitude upon magnitude in terms of how we're thinking about this.
Can you talk about from the standpoint you mentioned having the relationship with the league 10 years ago and then
Yeah.
coming at it today? A decade of time in the technology world is like an epoch in geologic time. So, how had their needs transformed? Did they understand what they needed, or were you able to come in and say, here's a new way to think about how we want to leverage data to improve the media experience, the broadcast experience, the fan experience, the transaction experience, all those different things? Or did they have a pretty good handle on it going in?
No, I will say they have a stellar IT team and a stellar vision. So it wasn't about us going in and educating them. I think it was going in and resetting the table. Got to remember, just because we had a relationship 10 years ago, they still used our product. So even then, when we parted sponsorship rights, they still used our product. What we felt we wanted to go in and say was, how do we reset the table? You've been using us a certain way. How do we, if we want to come up a click, maybe 10 clicks, then this is what we're thinking, but we need your perspective on where you're looking to grow. And then we did it together. So one of the things that we did early on, before we even signed any paper, is we brought all of our engineering teams in. It's like, all right, let's just sit down. Let's spend
Let's
weeks,
whiteboard this.
months whiteboarding, and let's go figure it out. And there were some really stunning things that came out of that we're actually executing today. And again, their season, right? The time with which to do this, it's like this,
Yeah.
right? We're not changing their world during season. There's no way I want to be responsible for that. So
Don't worry, we'll
we
just
had
like a switch right in the middle of the season. No big
it's
deal.
like 2 or 3 months that we're like plan, go.
Go.
And so our game day really is in their off season when we're like getting them ready to go. So there was a lot of resetting of expectations. Again, you knew us as this, you've been using us as this. This is what we think we can do now, based, by the way, on all those other things that we talked about from other teams. But what do you need? And then how do we find and fill that gap?
So I want to reflect back on something you said about the relationship with the 49ers. I mean, we've been talking about the NFL to this point, but clearly, obviously, there's a relationship with the team, the 49ers as well. And you said, look, we're really passionate about bringing technology into the 49ers and seeing what they can do with it so that we can then go tell a really good story. So to this point, I think we've been talking about what NetApp has been able to do and deliver for teams and leagues. So let's flip the script then. So as you start thinking about storytelling and how these leagues and teams are going to impact you, how is that going to start manifesting itself? What messages do you think people are going to resonate the most with as you start taking that content and shaping it for helping tell the NetApp story?
Yeah. Well, and I think you set it up at the top. Not everybody knows who NetApp is, right? This is one of the big moments that we believe we have to just even get our name out there. This relationship, just even our logo in and of itself, is already getting us feedback and interest. So that's the first thing.
I mean,
I
you're
think
on this huge sports business podcast. I mean, my God, that's going to just be transformative in its own
I
right.
think so too. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. No, but I think the second thing about brand is really how do we bring people into that environment? We're big on hospitality, but we're really big on making that hospitality meaningful. So we do, for instance, on the 49ers, and even with the NFL, we do this with, by the way, with every single one of our tech company, our tech partnerships. You can go visit the garage for Aston Martin. You can go
Yep.
visit the ice rink for Sharks. You can go behind the scenes in MotoGP. We do the exact same thing. Once you see our name on screen and you can come see and touch kind of what's going on in the I don't know, I don't want to call it a hole. That just sounds rude. In the data, if you can see
Lair.
if in the layer, yes, back to what we were talking about. I think if you can see the data in action, if you can see everything humming, then that really makes it easy to understand. And that's actually what's been happening to us is people coming and saying, "Oh, I get it."
Oh, yeah. It's funny
Right?
to talk about data in a tangible sense, but I mean, that's really what we're talking about here, being able to
Right.
see it operating in such a way that people go, oh, yeah, okay, I think I get it
But
now.
also these I gotta say the CIOs from and DVPs of technology across all of our sports sponsorships will pull out Casa because that's for the 49ers who we were just talking about. I mean, he's incredibly giving and sits down with customers of ours and said, "This is what I'm doing. This is what they sold me on. I wouldn't do this without this, this, and this." And it really does help us kind of equate again a moment to a story to somebody else's issues. And I'd say last on brand, you know what? We're still tweaking our story, but what we've really discovered is that sports, the players, the drivers, the people who are the actual athletes are really they're athletic geniuses and we wanted to play into that. We also believe that we as a company, our job with the data is to unleash the genius of you as a CIO or you as your CIO as the director of IT and your teams. So part of what you're going to see from us is we've learned how to tell our story about being the intelligent data infrastructure company better. And we do that by helping our customers and our partners unleash genius. And the only way we do that is because they're already genius and we're just putting a little bit of data zhuzh on it.
You're getting the magic wand in their hands through NetApps,
Yep.
just like you go through the Harry Potter selection process. NetApp is just one of the
Oh,
wands
the,
you can
the
grab.
hat.
Yeah, the magic of the magic hat is what you are. Now, I think the I'm fair to say that the relationship with the NFL we've talked about has been long, but the marketing relationship is relatively new, and I'm assuming that's a multi-year partnership. How
Right.
do you hope to see that relationship evolve over this period of time that you have with the NFL? Or the things that you kind of look at and go, gosh, maybe we should think about this? Like, where do you look down the road and think this is where we want to get to with this relationship?
Yeah. Well, I think it's already changing. It's
Mm.
already changing, having impact on our brand. I got to tell you, one of the best moves we ever did was to see their future
Mm.
and get excited about it. Their international expansion has been absolutely great for us.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something that we're really committed to because that's, again, behemoth data, right? But that also gets us more than national reach. That gets us international reach. And I think that that's about elevating NetApp, our portfolio, our platform, and it's helping us get that scale. You know, I think they could throw anything at us and I think we'd be excited by it. I think we're trying to find the things so we put ourselves in a lot of different little places. We're excited by where we are. Do we want to expand more? Sure, I have no
Yeah.
opposition to that. I think it's a partnership, right? So as they expand and as we figure out what works, we'll
Yeah, if you're
change.
solving each other's challenges, there's no reason not to think about how this could evolve
Right.
into something else.
I mean, it's year round, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that when you
They've
really
done a good
start to
job at
look at
that.
how you start to think about their data going from preseason to draft to season to postseason, I mean, that story I think is desperate to be told, and we're just excited to be along for that ride.
Has anything surprised you about people's reaction, whether internal at the company or some of the folks that you deal
Yeah.
with on a regular basis, about the partnership with the NFL?
Yeah, I get a lot of anybody who is in B2C or anything commercial, they're like, "Oh, yeah, good on you." Right? Like, yeah, that's what you
Big high
do.
profile. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get like B2B, it's like, okay, another tech company, another CMO spending money. And then internally for like the people in the States, they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then people internationally were like, come on. So I think it's what I love though is disproving and I love telling those stories because what's happening is that we were just at Insight and we just happened to do a couple of sessions with Aston Martin and the NFL and the 49ers together. And people internationally were just like, I need more of that. I never knew sports was so important to data, and they explained it
Mm.
in a way of something I watch on television that now I want to go take back. And when they then turn to their salesperson and say, "Yeah, that's cool. Can they come visit me?" Then it's like, "Yeah, okay, we get this. Gabie, you did good." Right?
Yeah.
So, it's you're always going to get the people who are like, "Yeah," but I honestly think that as a marketer, you're making choices, right? I could never buy this much advertising. And I'm getting this kind of exposure for, yes, I'm still spending money, but I'm spending money and it's becoming meaningful.
I've always used the expression or the idea that, one of the yes, you could spend all that money on a brand campaign and go out and try to tell your story independently, but then you're trying to convince people of something without context.
Yeah,
The
that's
thing that
great.
sports brings to the table is they do have that halo, like we talked about earlier on, that everybody inherently understand. And it allows you to tell the story, in my mind, more efficiently because you're building in all that pre existing content that just ends up benefiting your brand versus doing that from
Absolutely right.
scratch.
Absolutely right. I mean, I think that people live their lives and interact with so many brands on so many different levels.
Yeah.
When they can then go back from something personal into their work and still see that continuity and understand even more deeply, I think that is a powerful moment for brand.
I'm with Gabie Boko. She is the chief marketing officer of NetApp. And Gabie, this is a tough one now, right?
Okay.
Because, I know, not that all the questions haven't been tough, but, this one, because measurement and efficiency and defining effectiveness for marketing programs is essential for everybody, but probably no more true than for technology companies, particularly those who are in data, right? And looking at the data, analyzing the data. Sports partnerships can be challenging in that regard. They can be hard to measure. So, what does success look like for you for both NetApp and its partnership with the NFL and some of the other ones as well? And obviously, we're talking about the NFL, but clearly
I
other ones there too.
I think for all of it, we have four things that we measure, and we were very specific in terms of why we did this. And by the way, we wouldn't have done it if any of these partnership sponsorships would not have been a customer. So that was critical to
Number
us.
one.
Right. This I think the measurement comes from if they're already a customer, then how are they able to influence other customers? So how are they able to be a customer advocate for us? Right now, just in 1 week from our sponsorships, we've generated, I'd say, close to $50 million in pipeline just from 20 conversations.
Yeah.
That kind of advocacy is something that reaches the bottom line and is super measurable.
Yeah.
And so that's really, the primary one. I'd say the one that is the hardest to measure, but it's the most important one is the brand one.
Yeah.
And we're looking at that through two lenses. One is, quite frankly, reach, right? Like how many eyeballs are seeing us, and where are they seeing us, and are we able to capture that and see people actually come and engage with us, right? That's the hardest one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you get millions of eyeballs, if you get 10,000, I think, like my CFO would be like, I don't know if that's worth it, right? That's like 20 cents on the dollar. Fair, fair. But then we go back to the demand. I wouldn't have had the demand right? So that's why we do multiple vectors on measurement.
Yep.
I think the other one that is not as soft on brand is how our employees are able to use it. And there is such a positive tone with employees. They get excited about these sponsorships. They
Yeah.
wear their gear. Their families wear their gear.
Yeah.
They are excited about it. And you know what? They sit and they watch television, or they watch a sporting event on TV, and they send me notes and they say, "Gabie, I just saw our logo." And maybe they're watching it with their neighbor, or they're watching it with their friend, and how those connections happen. They're like, "Hey, that's that company," or "Isn't that company you work for?" So that's a much softer metric, but it is so innately powerful to who we are as a company and our brand.
I'm so glad you brought it up too, because so often, and justifiably, right, we talk about partnerships in the context, okay, what's it going to do for the brand? What's it going to do for pipeline? And all the things that are super important. But boy, that last one, employees and engagement and having them be excited about what their company they work for is doing, cannot be undersold as far as its importance, right? Tough to
Employees are
measure.
they're our best brand ambassadors. It's super tough to measure. And I'm not even going to say that I've figured that out, but I know that's one of those moments where when they're walking and they're going up to the CEO or they're going up to another customer and they're saying, "Hey, it's there."
Yeah.
And if you don't have that mechanism, I mean, no offense to marketers everywhere. I mean, and I've run a million brand campaigns and I know it as well. People don't talk about campaigns. They talk about things that are meaningful in their personal lives. And this is a way to make NetApp, to make us as the intelligent data infrastructure company, to unleash genius. I mean, all of the stuff that we have, this makes it meaningful. When my employees feel excited about where they work and take that forward, I can't spend enough money to make that happen.
Gabie Boko, she is the Chief Marketing Officer of NetApp. Thanks for joining us today, Gabie. But before I let you go, I'm going to drop you into the lightning round. Series of questions.
Goodie.
Yeah. I don't know if that was like a oh no goodie or let's do this thing goodie.
I did breathe hard. I was ready. I'm ready.
This was a little bit of perspiration coming down. All right. So here we go. All right. Lightning round. First thing that comes to your mind. As we discussed, you were born and raised in Alaska.
Yes.
What's the coldest you remember ever being?
I was born and it was 60 below zero when it was born. I used to walk to school. I used to walk to school at 40 below. So I remember the 40s and 50s. And now, like, I'm sorry. 20 below, that's like, I'm going out.
Oh, you're going in shorts.
Yeah.
Okay. Good one. One of your many hobbies includes wildlife photography, which in Alaska means bears. What is your most memorable bear encounter?
I did have my jingle bells on. Please do not do what I do. If you're out in bear country, please make noise. Please wear your jingle bells. Don't be stupid. But yes, I was hiking up and I saw a big grizzly and I went after it. Turns out it was a mama with some bear babies. And I was like, holy crap. So I took a shot and I hightailed it out of there with my jingle bells jingling all the way.
It's
a great picture, though. It's a great picture in cat mind.
I'm sure it is a great picture. I hope you'll send it to me. I'll post it too. But what you didn't see is your host's eyes going wide when I heard grizzly bear with babies. Not. You were also apparently a woman of extremes, growing up in cold Alaska and then residing in hot Arizona. Have you ever considered a mild climate?
No, I'm not that kind of girl. Plus, I always tell everybody, you know how cold it was when I was born. Do you not think that my soul is still like melting? I'm thawing.
Right. Yeah, well, you were born and it was negative 60 degrees. Arizona's probably just starting to wheedle its way through that icy center.
Correct.
Last, I'm going to give you a quote. You said you love risk. I don't feel alive or challenged if there isn't some level of risk taking to whatever I'm taking on. Are you a risk taker outside of business as well? And where does that show up?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it shows up in like things like relationships or personal, but definitely.
You're not bungee jumping off the top of buildings or anything like that.
Oh no, that's a given. No, I do like sport risk a lot. I'm not as athletic as I used to be, but yeah, I do like that. No, I'd say, I'm a pretty direct person. So if something seems a little sketch, then I'm in.
Perfect. Gabie Boko, thanks so much for the time.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here and let's do it again.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sports Business Conversations podcast. If you enjoyed it, we always appreciate a subscribe, share, comment, or like. And if you're the social type, you can always follow us in all the usual places. Don't forget, past episodes are located at adcpartners.com/podcast. A quick shout out to Scott Holmes for composing our theme music. This podcast is a production of ADC Partners. All rights are reserved.